Very good evening, and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. I think in yesterday's video I said the Friday edition, getting a little bit carried away and ahead of myself, but today is Friday, and before we continue with the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content here on Marv Vogan Weather on YouTube. Going to take tomorrow off, as I tend to do that at this time of the year. Things a little bit quieter after the winter, a bit of time to recoup, so to speak. And but it's all is not lost by taking tomorrow off. I will be back on Sunday at 4 p.m. for the live stream, becoming now a proper Sunday feature here on the channel. And I will leave a link in the description below today's video for that live stream on Sunday. If you've got time and you're bored, do check out the live stream and interact with me. Ask me a question, say hello, and I'll give you a shout out, and hopefully even try and answer a couple of questions with regards to the spring. Are we going to get a break in the rain? What kind of summer are we going to have? What kind of winter are we even going to have next year? Yeah, I even, believe it or not, have a couple of thoughts with regards to that. Depends on the La Nina developing and whatnot. But anyway, the live stream link will be in the description below. That's this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m. So I hope you can tune in for that. The Arctic Oscillation is neutral at the moment, expected to go into negative territory. As you can see here, the North Atlantic Oscillation also neutral. It too is expected to trend into weak negative territory also, which is quite interesting. Now, this is also interesting. This is the 2-meter temperatures of the GFS extended run. This is off weatherbelt.com. And I know this chart isn't overly clear to see, and I do apologize for that. But unfortunately, I can't actually make the image any bigger unless there is ways of doing it, and I'm just being daft with regards to technology, because if you're a frequent viewer here on the channel, I am pretty useless when it comes to technology and a bit daft, so to speak. But 2-meter temperature anomalies upcoming 7 days. You can see here that we have got quite a cold spell coming up for the majority of North America. This goes against what we've had so far this March, by the way, and also against what was one of the warmest winters on record for North America, for the United States and Canada. We do have, as is often the case when you've got colder air descending into the lower 48 of the United States, we've got warmer than average conditions over Alaska. Look at this over North Central Asia. Very cold conditions here on this side of the pole. But here, even in the UK and Ireland, we have got colder conditions developing here. We've got a frontal system that is edging south over the UK, and gone will be those 17s and 18s that we've seen in recent days. You're going to struggle to hit 10 Celsius in south of the UK over the next several days here, especially when you factor in that brisk northwesterly wind that has been very, very notable in the last 24 hours. A real gale blowing here across the far north of the UK, and widely. Some disruption, I think, has been the case. Also, snow levels are going to start to come down as well. But before we get there, let's have a look at the 2-meter temperature anomaly. So in the upcoming live stream, Global Weather Report Edition 86, we're going to be looking at the global temperature profile, La Nina. We're also going to be looking at a couple of interesting things. Now, off the top of my head, I'll try and remember. Rio de Janeiro in Brazil had a heat index of 62 Celsius the other day. They're 144 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the heat index. That's the combination of the wet bulb thermometer and the overall humidity and temperature combination. Alaska, Anchorage has had one of its snowiest winters on record. The Canary Islands off Morocco has recorded its warmest winter on record just gone. Also, we've got a severe drought situation ongoing here. We've got a water emergency, I believe, in Tenerife. So we'll look at these extremes that are taking place at the moment. We'll touch on that. We'll look at other aspects going on globally as well. So Do stay tuned. I hope you're available on Sunday afternoon to check that out. And like I say, I always enjoy the live stream because it's a good way of being able to interact with you, the viewer, the subscriber. And I think it's just a little bit more personal and relaxed, actually, rather than these video uploads. But anyway, I'm digressing. This is the upcoming 7-day temperature profile of the GFS Extended. And you can see here, colder, not warmer. I'm not used to saying warmer than average. Colder than average across the majority of the UK and Ireland, as you can see here. Notice the majority of mainland Europe, with the exceptions of Turkey down in the bottom corner, and also Scandinavia. It is largely warmer than average across the majority of the continent here. As we skip through the sequence, you can see here that as we move out of March into the month of April, we maintain this below average theme, which is quite interesting. Now we flirt with slightly warmer than average, if you notice here, through the first 5 days or so of April. Last couple of days of March, first 5 days of April, it looks as if the model is trying to show warmer than average temperatures. Now we will look at the details in just a second here. We'll look at the GFS operational, but then you notice here that the model trends back colder once again. And that is quite interesting because that has been alluded to here in the channel for quite a while now through the majority of March, about a cold end game to March and possibly a cold first half to April. Now there is a little bit of back and forth. There's a little bit of battle going on. We've got increasing incoming solar radiation at this time of the year. You've got the El Nino that is still going to be having an influence, even though it is very quickly decaying over the eastern Pacific. We are still likely to have an influence in that, but we had the strat warming and we have a strong phase 7 into 8 of the Mann-Julian oscillation, which promotes blocking across the northern latitudes, and that is likely to have influence on the April pattern. Now, what does that actually mean? It probably means that we're going to see quite slow moving weather systems. We're going to have higher pressure, likely more over or to the north of the British Isles. We'll have a displaced jet further south, possibly affecting southern portions of the UK or down into France or down into Iberia. Usually when you've got blocking to the north, that forces the jet stream further south, and we see wetter than average conditions here. Now, I think March is playing out quite well, where I think we're going to have average, drier than average across the north, wetter than average across more southern areas, and that will lead into what we've seen so far throughout the autumn, throughout the winter. We've had a very similar type of situation, generally warmer than average and generally wetter than average. El Nino and the warmer than average sea surface temperatures, I think, has a lot to do with that. Then as we continue to play through the loop, this takes us all the way out to the 11th through 18th of April, and we still have colder than average conditions, and we'll see if that actually materializes or not. It remains to be seen. This is the visible satellite image, by the way. This is the current image. We've got that deep area of low pressure that was all the way down to 957, 958 millibars, just off the east of Iceland around this time yesterday. That means that we had this center, which is right here, if you can see it, back to the east of Iceland, just off the east coast. And this frontal system, that is now introducing the colder air. That was further north, and it meant that we had warmer than average temperatures yesterday afternoon at this time. Quite a bit different this time around. So you can see here that area of low pressure just to the north of the UK here is dragging in colder air off Greenland. Now that water is moving over the warmer than average North Atlantic, so we're losing a lot of that chill as it comes off the Greenland ice cap and then eventually blows across the UK and Ireland. But it still feels quite nippy out there in that wind. Now this is the current pressure chart. This was actually this time yesterday, I beg your pardon. So you can see here the centre of the low just off the east coast of Iceland. We've got the strong winds blowing around that centre. We've got quite the contrast here between 958 millibar low of Iceland and a 1034 high near the Azores. Now this is the animation. As we play through the loop, what happens is that frontal system that I showed you a second ago, draped across the far south of the UK, That then has sunk south through the course of today, and this is the current pressure chart, and it's that subtle shift off just to the east of Iceland towards the north side of Shetland. That frontal system associated with that has then forced south, and you notice here that the winds have now turned from west to more northwest, and that's introducing the colder air. Also, the area of high pressure has kind of then slipped up the western side of that area of low pressure up over the Atlantic, and hence why we're directing our air in more from an Arctic direction here. So you can see the response in the temperatures. This was the same time yesterday. So around 20 past 5 in the afternoon yesterday, this was the temperature, or this is the current temperature profile, beg your pardon. Skip back to this time yesterday, and you can actually see that we had 13 and 14 Celsius in the Aberdeenshire coast. Warmest temperatures over Iberia was actually up in the northwest corner. As we skip to the here and now, you can actually see the temperatures have come down a fair wee bit across the north. So this is the current temperatures over the UK, even down across the southeast. Instead of having 17s and 18s, we've actually got 12 Celsius tomorrow and end of the day on Sunday. With a bit more of a northerly component to the wind, we're likely to struggle to hit 10 Celsius. Look at these temperatures down across Iberia, 27, 28 Celsius over central Iberia. So quite a warm day down here. Let's have a look and see 23s, 24s down across the south of France as well, by the way. Let's have a look and see what the UK is looking like. Help if I can get to the right chart. Instead of Iberia, I'm looking at the UK. This is the current temperatures. So we've got 12s, 13s in and around the London area, as you can see, up into East Anglia as well. 6s and 7s, even 3 Celsius. Look at this here at Loch Liscarnock with a wind chill of -4.7. Gusty gale force west and northwesterly winds here, and the temperatures are responding to that. Let's have a look and see what the rail field temperatures are. So this is the wind chill, and you can see here that is quite a wintry look in the wind chill here. -17 at the Cairngorm Summit, -13 at Annaghmore, and even 2s and 3s down through the central belt. Northern portions of England, we've got the Spedia Dam at a temperature of 4.8 Celsius, but a wind chill of -0.9 Celsius, and still holding on to slightly milder conditions across the far south here. But this, incidentally, was this time yesterday, and we'll skip right the way back to the here and now. And you can see the big difference here. We actually did have 14 Celsius. My reading here at the house actually was 15.1. I was kind of surprised to see that. Not even 10 Celsius today, as that frontal system moves through. So you can see the difference between this time yesterday and today at 25 past 5 in the evening. Anyway, let's have a look and see what the 850 temperatures are showing here. So there's that colder air getting swept off Greenland, as I say, thanks to that area of low pressure, that wheel to the north of the British Isles here. And then as we move through the next 24 hours or so, we're going to see that area of low pressure gradually weaken, but it's going to sink south over the North Sea and allowing that the continuation of cold air from the north here, but nothing extreme. You notice here that the deep purples and pinky colours always stay to the north of the British Isles. Therefore, we don't get in on anything particularly cold. And the reason why is we've got areas of low pressure that are moving in from the southwest. That's then causing a resistance. It's pushing milder up from the south, meeting that cold air coming down. If we didn't have that area of low pressure, there would probably be nothing to stop that cold air from continuing to drive south. And then we're in this battleground. Northern Scotland stays in the cold air. We may see some snow, even trying to mix down the low levels, but certainly over high ground, North Wales, Northern England, Scotland, even parts of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, we may get a light covering of snow over the highest ground over the next few days here. And like I say, especially during the overnight hours, we may get a mix even down the low levels. As we play through the course of next week, we've got an area of low pressure that kind of stays anchored and essentially protects the UK from that bitterly cold air that is not that far to the north. That area of low pressure is essentially protecting us from this discharge of very cold air. And you notice here that as we move towards Easter Sunday, there is the latest GFS operational run indicating that there is a bit of an open door develops here during Easter Sunday and into Easter Monday, where we don't have the presence of that low, and eventually that cold air tries to come south. But this is one individual model run. There will be chopping and changing, as you know. Let's look at the overview chart for the same time frame. And you notice here we don't have the area of low pressure to protect us, trying to push that cold air that's trying to descend south, coming up against warm air coming up from the south here. You don't have that resistance. So it'll be interesting to see if this materializes or not here. But it looks as if we're going to have a chilly theme through the weekend. Once those winds relax, we get a little break in the winds as that area of low pressure then clears out. We've got clear skies, light winds. Sunday night into Monday could be quite cold, frosty conditions as highlighted in recent days. And then we've got more low pressure to kind of contend with as we go through the course of next week here. So play through the overview chart real quick, and you can see that we've got wintry showers over mid to high ground over the next 24 to 48 hours. Then we've got that little break as higher pressure briefly visits later in the day on Sunday, hence why we could have a cold night Sunday into Monday. Then we've got that area of low pressure that moves in, and then with colder, as I showed in the 850 temperature chart, just across the northern flank of that low, we may see some heavy snowfall breaking out, even to mid-ground. So high elevation road routes, for example, may have disruptive snow into the day on Monday. If that happens to be the case, where we've got enough cold air on the northern side of that low, and then that low kind of spins around. Quite a messy picture, as you can see here. A lot of unsettled conditions all the way from northern UK right the way into northwestern Africa. We've got low pressure dominating the weather pattern here, and then it maintains itself right the way through the majority of next week. And then it's as we move towards the Easter weekend, it looks as if we're going to have another shot of some of that cold kind of dammed up to the north, tries to sink south here. So yeah, it's all to play for with regards to the Easter weekend. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. for the live stream Global Weather and Climate Report edition 86. Hope you can join me then. Bye for now.